So hello everyone.
In the previous lecture, we have seen about the radio button and the drop down button, right? And in this lecture, we are going to learn about the drop down list that we have that we are going to create. The second thing is the button, how to add button, and the third one is the multiple line input from the user. We have learned about taking a single line input from the user using the input and the input type equal to text. Type value has type attribute has the value text. So we want to create, as you can see, we want to create the drop down list. The month, in many websites we used to see we have to select months, and when we click on that, all the month name appears, and from that we select one of the option that we want, right? So this is done using drop down list. So for drop down list, we use the tag select. Select tag is used for creating the drop down list, and options we provide options to the user, and this is under the option tag. So opening option tag and the closing option tag. Since we are going to provide the name of the months, there are 12 months, so we are going to copying and pasting this option tag for 12 times, right? So opening, copying and pasting for 12 times for all the months of the year. Control C, Control V, Control V, and let's go up to 12 times. Control V, Control V, Control V, and then Control V. How many times? 3, 6, 2 more times remaining, right? Control V and Control V. So here we go. Under the option, what we are going to provide, the month's name, right? First option is Jan, second is February, third is March, fourth is April, fifth is May, sixth is June, then July, then August, then September, then October, November, and finally we have December. So this is how the drop down list is created. Now how we will pass this value to the server, right? So we have to provide one name so the server can identify if we have to fetch the data which we have selected from the drop down list. For that we use the name attribute. So we have to provide the name. So name equal to, suppose we give name month selected. So months by, if we code in JavaScript, then using the month selected name, we can know which month is selected by the user. So let's check it in the browser how it's going reflected our code. So Control S, saving the page, and then refresh the browser page that we have opened. So you can see the drop down list has been created. Jan to March. When we click on that, we can select any option. Suppose we select July or June, and let's select it. So this is how we create the drop down list. What if we want to be selected any option by default? Suppose we want June to be selected as a by default, or we want any of the month to be selected as by default. For that we use the selected attribute. So we want June to be selected by default, and selected is a boolean attribute, so there is no need to specify the value. Selected, if we have written, then it means true. So you can see by default June is selected, but we can change also. We can say in March or April, anything you want. So this is the method for creating the drop down list. Now the second thing that we are going to learn is how to create the multiple line input from the user. How to take multiple line input from the user. So if we have to share our experience on any website, then we have to take multiple lines, right? So how we are going to do that? So the tag that we use for multiple line input is text area. So text area tag is used for taking the multiple lines from the user, and we have to provide name here also, because that's is the way only to identify the value that we have entered. So wherever input will come, there the name must come. So name must be there wherever we are taking the input from the user. So we are going to create the multiple line input. For that we use the text area tag, and in the text area we have to name the attribute name, and we have to write the message to the user also, that in this box what you have to enter. So we are writing under the p tag, only the paragraph is there. Share your experience, right? Share your experience. In this box user has to share their experiences. So this is the message to the user that we want to give, right? And for the text area to be identified by the JavaScript code or by the server, we have to provide name. Also we can specify the rows and columns that we want to provide, number of rows and number of columns in the box that can be accommodated. So let's provide number of rows equal to 10 and number of columns equal to 30, right? And we have to provide the name also. Name equal to, suppose we want to name it experience shared. Experience shared, right? So we are going to check it in the browser how it's going to be get reflected. Control is save it using Control S and check it in the browser, refreshing the page. You can see there are box, and we can enter up to 10 rows and 30 columns having the multiple lines, right? So this is how we have learned the second thing of taking input of multiple lines. The third thing is about the button, how we can create the button. So as you can see in our required thing that we have to do, we have to create the buttons like this. This is the image button. There is image overlapped over the button, and this is only the text button, in which text is appearing over the button. We can appear text or an image over the button. So we have learnt about the submit button earlier, but we are going to learn about the normal buttons. So how we are creating the submit buttons? We are using the input tag for the submit button, and we are providing the type attribute as what? Submit, right? We are not providing the name because submit is not the data that the user is entering. So wherever user is entering data, there only we use the name. So the submit button is there. Input type equal to submit. We have to remove the name. So let's remove the name. Now refresh the page. You can see the submit button is available. What if we want to create the normal buttons? For that we have to use type equal to button. We write type equal to button and we refresh the page. Then you can see button is created but no text is appearing over there. For that we have to use the value attribute, and we have to give some value so that any text can appearing over the button, so that user can know what value we for what purpose that button is there, right? So we are using the value attribute. Let's suppose this is method 1. We are using method 1 to provide the button. So we are naming the method 1 button as method 1. So the text that will appearing over the button is the method 1 text. So this is the first method of adding button, right? What if we want to add the button using the second method? So we are going to discuss the second method of adding buttons, right? So we use button tag for creating the button using the second method, and there are 3 types of button: submit button, normal button, and the reset button. So we are going to create the button using the button tag, and the type that we are going to use for now is a normal button, right? So let's code it. Under the button tag, we are going to type equal to button, because we are creating the normal button, and the text that we want to appear over that button can be written inside the button tag. And there is a difference between the first method and the second method. In the first method, images cannot be used over that button, but in the second method, images can be used. So this is the method 2 of creating the button, and we are overlapping that button with text button 2. So you can see button 2 is created. Now how we can add images to our button using the method 2. Since we cannot add images to the button using the method 1, so we have to use and we have to keep in mind the second method of adding button, because it is more useful as compared to the first method if we want to add images, and in normal we have to add images. So let's see how to add images, right? This is only the text, not the image. Button 2 is only the text. For image we use the img tag, right? So this is the demerit of first method of adding buttons over the second method. So we are going to add image using the img tag, and we have to specify the source also. We have one jpg file, one image file is there in this folder, so we are going to use that using for the source as a source. So img tag is there and the source. Let's see it in the file how we are going to get the name of that file. The name is 5 tips for front-end web development, but how we are going to, can we copy it from here? No, I think it cannot be copied. So we have to see the, open the folder, and we have to see the name of that file, that jpg file. What's the name? So that we can use as a source for that button. Click on right click, properties. Here is the name. Copy it, copy the name, and the type of file that it is jpg file is there. So Control C, copy and paste under the source, right? Where is our file? That drop down and button, right? So copy the image source that we have, pasting the image source, and we have to write the extension also .jpg, and we can apply the height and width also. So let's say height equal to some value and width equal to some value. We have to go by approximation, how much size is it is there, how much height and width will be of image will be perfect for that button. So we are providing the height and width of the image, right? Let's refresh the page. You can see image is there, but it is very small, so we have to resize it and give some bigger size. Let's set height equal to 30 and width equal to 60.